in either stance, that's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out and...
I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, you know? Could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing.
Terence Crawford is reportedly teaming up with Gennady Golovkin in preparation for his upcoming showdown with Canelo Alvarez, and the news is sending shockwaves through the boxing world. Sources claim the pair are working closely to refine Crawford's power, timing, and overall ring intelligence. With Golovkin's wealth of experience in his corner, this collaboration could give Crawford the crucial advantage he needs as he gears up for one of the most challenging battles of his career. When experts analyze Terence Crawford, they don't see just another fighter, they see a rare talent with exceptional gifts. Crawford blends speed, timing, and an extraordinary ability to read his opponents like few others in the sport. He's renowned for seamlessly switching stances and making mid-fight adjustments, a skill mastered by only a select group of boxers. His ring IQ is often described as genius level, allowing him to dismantle opponents with surgical precision. Analysts agree that his adaptability and awareness inside the ring make him stand out, elevating him above most fighters today.
There is anyone who can do it. It's Terence "Bud" Crawford, a man who survived getting shot in the head, for God's sakes. Like, he is not normal. He is a wizard of boxing. He's got genius IQ, one of the smartest boxers I've ever seen, and he can do it all. He's had over 40 fights. I can't ever remember seeing him, like, shook or worried. I mean, this is, you know, trained killers trying to take his head off, and he never looks out of pocket. He is like a rapper who just turns up and figures out his lines on the fly and still makes it sound like the best song you've ever heard. Like, that's how amazing he is. Like, I've never seen anyone who can fight out both stances the way Crawford can. I mean, he looks so natural in either stance. That's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out, and you know, when they stand in the pocket and they just go for it. And even in those situations where usually both of you are getting hit, he still manages to hit and not get hit. It's like he's in the Matrix. And this isn't against average fighters. This is against the best in the world at 4 different weight classes, and he's made it look easy pretty much every time he's moved up. I think in the Errol Spence fight, that was a fight that was supposed to be 50-50. The pressure was on. A lot of people thought he was going to lose that fight. He made that look like a boxing lesson, and the reason is when Errol Spence would throw a punch and not get out of the pocket quick enough, he would make them pay every single time. And if people are worried about Canelo's feet being slow, if there's anyone who can punish that, it's Terence "Bud" Crawford. In terms of weaknesses, these guys, they don't really have weaknesses. They've just got things that they maybe not as amazing at. That's the level we're talking here. Canelo has been accused of being a bit of a slow starter, and, you know, that could be a problem in this.
Mikkel Fox shed light on a key factor in the upcoming showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, noting that Crawford's only true disadvantage lies in the weight. Stepping up against a naturally bigger and stronger fighter like Canelo presents clear obstacles, as the size difference could allow Canelo to apply physical pressure and limit Crawford in strength exchanges. However, Fox emphasized that beyond this issue, Crawford has the upper hand in nearly every technical area. His footwork creates sharp angles that trouble aggressive fighters, his jab is crisp and disruptive, and his timing is so precise that he can exploit even the smallest gaps. Above all, his ring IQ ranks among the very best in modern boxing, giving him the ability to adjust mid-fight and alter strategies seamlessly. According to Fox, these attributes make Crawford a dangerous and frustrating matchup for Canelo despite the size gap. If Crawford can neutralize Canelo's physicality and avoid being controlled by power shots, his superior skills could take over, giving him a real chance to outclass and potentially defeat the Mexican superstar.
I would like to see Bud pull it off. The thing about it is, I think the only disadvantage Bud really has is the weight. I think he has all the skills and attributes that are required to beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's kind of flat-footed. You've seen the fights with Bivol and Laura and even School, who didn't do much, but you see that movement irritates Canelo. You know what I'm saying? When dudes that know how to control the range and stuff like that, he didn't look like the world beater. You know what I mean? The motherfucker that sat in front of him, them dudes that sat in front of him, we see what he did with him. You know what I mean? But guys like Bivol, who was bigger, but he bouncing in and out. Laura, motherfucking landing counter lefts, and he's circling out, and that shit was fucking with Canelo. Floyd, you know, it probably killed Canelo that Floyd was always only an inch away.
Yep.
Just a little step back, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, God damn, I feel like I missed by a mile.
That's
so,
crazy because he didn't use no movement.
Right.
He stood in the pocket on it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Triple G was. You said G? Triple G?
No, I said Floyd didn't use no movement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. I'm in there to land, then I'm just right here. In there to land, but now I'm right here. It was a bad motherfucker, Joe. Like that's what we gotta understand. Floyd was a bad motherfucker. But the movement, having good feet under you, helps against Canelo.
When new training photos of Terence Crawford's physique began circulating online, Showbiz the Adult noted the wave of curiosity and skepticism they triggered. The images showed Crawford in peak shape, with a noticeably sharper and more muscular build than usual. Almost immediately, questions arose about their authenticity. Were the photos real, or had they been altered to create an intimidating image for Canelo Alvarez ahead of their clash? While it's well known that Crawford is highly disciplined in his training,
shredded wheat and amazing is this photo photoshopped, because this photo that Ilia Topuria posted of Terence Bud Crawford is the latest photo we've seen, and he looks just less impressive in this photo. Well, the question is really, when were the photos taken? All right, so when you look at this photo and you look at this photo and look at this video of Terence Crawford with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh as Terence Crawford is working out, supposedly just yesterday, right? Which one is Terence Crawford's latest appearance? Because even though this is the latest photo you've seen, doesn't mean this is when the photo was taken. The only reason why people are confused is because this latest photo seems to have been taken in Vegas. And we're approaching fight week, and Terence Crawford is already in Vegas. Hence the video with him with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh in Vegas. Now, let me explain all of this. Well, first you gotta look at the hairstyles, right? Terence Crawford in this photo from Ilia Topuria, his hairstyle is totally different than this hairstyle here with Terence Crawford shredded wheat. It is also different than his hairstyle that he has here in the gym with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. You can tell because you can tell how the hair braid, like how it's parted in this photo, and in this photo, they're more parted down the middle, where this video, it's slanted, it's in like a diagonal slant, which I'm thinking is his late.
Adam Smith laid out a detailed case for why he favors Terence Crawford over Canelo Alvarez, pointing to timing as the decisive factor. He explained that boxing is not just about skill, but also about facing an opponent at the right or wrong moment in their career. Smith noted that Canelo has already been through years of grueling wars with top-tier competition, and those battles have inevitably taken a toll. While Canelo remains elite, Smith believes his speed, explosiveness, and sharpness aren't quite what they used to be. On the other hand, Crawford is entering what many see as the prime of his career. He's undefeated, full of momentum, and shows no signs of decline. Still hungry and motivated, he carries the energy of a fighter determined to prove himself against the very best. According to Smith, this perfect combination of form and ambition gives Crawford a major edge. In his view, the timing couldn't be worse for Canelo. Crawford may be catching him at a moment when his sharpness has slightly dulled, making this the perfect opportunity for Crawford to secure victory and cement his legacy.
Vegas to see, I think Terence Crawford beats Canelo, and I think that it's going to be his coming out party. I'd love to be there, and Canelo, of course, an all-time great. Yeah, but listen, I love Ireland, and I'm pleased to be in Belfast with the zone for Crocker and Donovan. There's something about an all-Irish fight which is fantastic, and it was great and controversial first time around. It's even bigger now, so yeah, let's chat over there and get on with it.
Just a quick one on Canelo Crawford. I heard you pick Crawford. You just said it there. How much of that is down to timing, and how much of that is down to styles?
A bit of both. I think Canelo is approaching 70 fights. He's been beaten before. Crawford remains undefeated. I think that the jump up is big, but I think he's got the speed, the IQ, the experience, the know-how to be able to handle it. If he's switched on for every minute of every round, I think he wins, and I think he announces himself to the world on Netflix. And I think he deserves it. I think Terence Crawford's only been really known to the trade fans. Canelo, obviously, a bigger name, bigger star, and look, I fancy Crawford in this fight. Look, nothing against Canelo. Maybe it's a little bit of time in the skull fight. I don't know, but there's plenty that fancy Canelo. Be too big, too strong, too good. It's Crawford for me.
On Talk Sport Boxing, the debate over Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford grew heated, with strong opinions on both sides. Some commentators went as far as to predict that if Crawford suffers a decisive loss, it could mark the end of his run at the elite level. Supporters of Canelo argued that his natural size, strength, and relentless pressure might simply be too much for Crawford to handle. Meanwhile, others countered that Crawford's technical brilliance, adaptability, and fight IQ could be the keys to exposing Canelo's vulnerabilities. The back and forth highlighted just how divided the boxing world is over this matchup. What stood out most, however, was the bold suggestion that a loss could derail Crawford's future in big money fights, underscoring the enormous stakes riding on this clash.
So yeah, there's a big argument that Canelo Alvarez starts the favourite going into this one because he's the super middleweight world champion. Bud Crawford jumping up to two weight divisions, and he's jumped up a weight division before that as well, beating Errol Spence. You just look at it and go, it's a massive ask here for Terence Crawford. But something inside me tells me he wins, and we'll get into that later on.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but in the meantime, Canelo, as ever, has left no stone unturned. He's been training at altitude in Sierra Nevada, looking to get the maximum body stamina and preparation advantage. It's something that he's used to. And, of course, he's going to effectively be the home fighter because Tex-Mexers will be up in their numbers from Texas. Also, Hispanic fans from all around the United States. The fight is being made on Mexican Independence Day. I don't think you have to be a great crystal ball gazer to know where the bulk of the crowd is going to be rooting when they step out inside those ropes and their names are bellowed out by the ringside announcer afterwards.
Listen, even though the fight happens in America and Terence Crawford is American, it is going to be so pro-Mexican there, because Canelo is accepted. He's like an adopted son there, and Mexican Independence Day, all of that goes so much in favour of Canelo Alvarez. You go, actually, the guy that's a four-division world champion and a superstar of the sport and American will start probably the fan favourite will definitely be Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, definitely. And he's been training with somebody, sparring with a man who he thinks replicates Crawford's style in sparring many rounds against Yaron Ennis.
George "Ferocious" Kambosos Jr. broke down the fight by zeroing in on Canelo Alvarez's signature pressure style. He explained that Canelo is at his most dangerous when he closes the gap, cuts off the ring, and unleashes powerful, well-placed combinations. Kambosos stressed that Canelo's biggest strength comes from delivering hard, accurate punches while applying relentless forward pressure. In his view, Canelo will look to impose this style on Crawford, keeping him on the back foot for much of the fight. The real test for Crawford will be whether he can absorb those heavy shots and stop Canelo from controlling the tempo. For Kambosos, Canelo's pressure is a weapon that must never be underestimated.
Canelo is the pressure fighter. He's got to put the pressure on Crawford. He has to be able to land his big shots. He's seasoned at fighting at super middleweight. He's fought as high as light heavyweight, as we know. So he is accustomed to the bigger punches, the bigger shots. I don't think Crawford can really land anything that's going to trouble a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is such a good pressure fighter, and for him to be successful in this fight, he needs to be able to really cut the ring off very, very well with a guy like Terence Crawford. Now, we saw in Canelo's last fight against Skull that he was not able to really cut him off well. So that has caused a lot of doubters, and people starting to think, Crawford will have that edge in the footwork and the movement department. But, when you're fighting a big fight, you're going to get up for a big fight, and he's really going to be at his best against a guy like Terence Crawford. So I believe he will cut the ring off very, very well. And for him to be successful, he has to land shots on Crawford, put him in two frames of mind, make Crawford double think every time Canelo goes into and wants to land shots and land shots. Now, a guy like Crawford is so slick, so dynamic, able to punch you from different angles and different stances. We see he switches from orthodox to southpaw. He might fight the whole fight in southpaw. So he's so dynamic. Now, he's the kind of guy that he's going to put Canelo in two kind of frames of mind.
Some analysts point back to Terence Crawford's performance against Israil Madrimov, noting that he didn't appear entirely comfortable after moving up in weight. They argue that climbing even higher to face Canelo Alvarez is a much bigger leap and could present serious challenges. In the Madrimov fight, Crawford was still adjusting to the heavier division, and his power didn't carry the same dominance it had at lower weights. The concern now is that against Canelo, a naturally bigger, stronger, and more physically imposing opponent, this problem could be amplified. Those who hold this view believe the size and weight gap might neutralize some of Crawford's usual advantages, making this step up especially risky.
But a lot of people feel Crawford actually lost that fight. So we've got Crawford who's coming in off the back of, well, his previous two fights. One of them was brilliant performance. The other one was a bit lackluster by his very high standards, albeit against a very, very good fighter. But you could see in that fight that the size of Israil Madrimov, bear in mind, 154 pounds. Israil Madrimov still fights at 154 pounds. This is super middleweight, 2 divisions more. And we've seen Canelo when he's brought someone up from 154 who was a decent size 154 pounder in Charlo. But Crawford's not going to do what Charlo did. Charlo fought like, someone who was completely scared out of his mind and just knew he wasn't going to win but didn't want to get stopped. That was really the look we were getting from Charlo. Crawford is not going to do that. He's a very proud man. He doesn't know what it's like to be defeated. He fully believes in himself. And the shape he looks in phenomenal shape. He's coming into this fight fully believing that he can win this. And that right there is the mindset you need to have. It won't guarantee you victory, but it will give you a better chance than if you went in there thinking, right, just survive and see what happens. I do think that the size difference will be something. Although saying that, look at Canelo Alvarez, we look at his most recent performances, and when's the last fight from Alvarez that's really made you stand up and take note? Caliplant, Billy Joe Saunders, maybe those 2 fights, they were good performances. Lost, clearly, the Dimitri Bivol fight, although it's very close here. It was on the scorecards, it was a clear loss. Against Triple G, it was just a meh performance. Likewise against John Ryder, Charlo, I won't even talk about that. Munguia, it was a bit meh. Berlanga, it was like, okay, and show me something.
Former Canelo team member Joe Vargas weighed in on the upcoming clash, stressing that Canelo is a different kind of challenge altogether. Vargas pointed out the unique qualities that make Canelo stand out: his composure under pressure, his devastating body shots, and his knockout power in both hands. He highlighted that Crawford has never shared the ring with someone quite like Canelo, a fighter who can combine raw power with sharp defensive skills. While Vargas acknowledged Crawford's intelligence and technical brilliance, he insisted that facing Canelo will be an entirely new experience for him. In Vargas's eyes, this fight is about Canelo showing once again why he remains one of the most complete and dangerous fighters in the sport.
This is the first time I pick it. I'm going to go with Canelo on this one.
And why is that?
They're both great at what they do. I'm going against Maggie. I heard everything she said right now. She's right on the money on all that stuff, but Crawford has done a lot of great things at a smaller weight. That jump is I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, Could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing. Mm-hmm. But I just think Canelo's too good at the little things and what's Crawford's game plan going to be, That's what's going to define the fight to me.
Do you think Canelo knocks him out?
No, but I think, that's the only way I think he's going to win. I think he wants to make a statement. I was going back and forth about Canelo, like everybody talks about, like, for example, when Berlanga fought Shiraz. Mm-hmm. Did I say it right? Shiraz? Yep. Berlanga was engaging with Shiraz. He wasn't engaging with Canelo much, Same thing with Ryder. He didn't engage with Canelo. Munguia did. And it's like you fight people different. Crawford's not going to fight him the same way he's fought everybody else. Yeah, he's going to make great adjustments. He's going to do some great things. It's not the same till you get hit by Canelo. You know, one time, I remember the first time Ulises Sierra sparred with Canelo, the first time we went to his camp, and he came back after the first round, and I said, "What's up, mijo? How hard does he hit?" He said, "Coach, I can feel his power all the way down to my feet."
That wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for the next update.